All right, welcome everyone. Very excited to be here. My name is Darren, I'm the CEO of VENDO. I have the absolute privilege to be up here with these handsome gentlemen to talk about bridging the gap from online to offline and omni-channel selling. We're excited to have a conversation here, get their thoughts and expertise. Please, if you want to ask questions at the end, we will try to leave time. That time was on for you specifically. So excited to get started here. I'm going to quickly move along the intro part of the slides here so we can get to the actionable takeaways and expertise. I already introduced myself. You kind of get a feel for things with my bad dad joke. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Martinez to introduce himself first.
All right. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, everyone, for coming out today. So I'm Nicolas Martinez, SVP of Marketing here at VENDO. Handle all of our Amazon, Walmart, TikTok Shop client marketing strategy, both on Marketplace and off Marketplace, driving back to Marketplace.
Mr. Jordan.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. I lead our marketplace growth strategy plans, specifically focused on the Walmart marketplace, leading some initiatives there with brands we work with, as well as our agency partnership with Walmart. I also was a previous Walmart merchant and also account manager for the marketplace, so that's why I'm specialized in that.
Awesome. How's it going, everyone? Can you hear me? I'm Gefen. I'm the VP of Advertising. Been with VENDO for almost 6 years at this point. And I lead all different advertising efforts, Amazon, Walmart, paid search and social, programmatic, and then, of course, retail media. All of those things are going to be covered today.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's get into it here. So first off, I want to talk about just really quick. I'll spend 30, 60 seconds, no sales pitch here, just to give you background and establish credibility about the speakers on stage here. VENDO is a part of a larger ecosystem. We're part of Platform. Platform was founded by Noah Bremen almost 2 decades ago at this point by best-in-class bricks and mortar representation, and we've since built it out to all world-class teams on the ground for Target, Walmart, Sam's Club, Costco, Best Buy, Walgreens, and all things digital as it relates to TikTok Shop, Amazon, US, Walmart, 1P, 3P, paid search, social. All of that is done by VENDO and our team of 120 amazing superstars across the country to help optimize and manage our clients' business in an ever-changing omni-channel world. And with that, VENDO specifically, just again, some of our service offerings extend beyond the paid search, social, and marketplace management to like user-generated content. Shout out to Sohan, wherever he's sitting, influencer marketing, affiliate marketing, channel control. We do pretty much full service management of all of your business to give brands back control on the platforms that they are selling on, whether it be Amazon or Walmart or Target or TikTok, assuming TikTok still exists 30 days from now. So very excited to kind of dive in and really kind of bridge the gap here. So first off, what is omnichannel? This is a word that's been thrown around for years, and it has probably a multitude of meanings. However, the most basic is essentially be where the customer is and serve where the customer goes. It's no longer beholden upon a brand to just say, well, I just want to be here, I just want to be here. Because the customer is looking for you in many different places, and you want to be there to meet them wherever they're shopping, and you can no longer dictate to them where they can go and buy you, because then you will lose to your competition who is embracing an omni-channel world. Shout out to Nick over here for coining one of our favorite phrases. Everybody knows D2C, but D2E, direct to everywhere, is really kind of our paradox and paradigm from a VENDO perspective to help brands sell and excel on the platforms across which they're selling there. We're going to cover a couple of agenda items here: marketing flows, advertising, retail media buying. We're going to start with our channel assortment strategy, and with that we're going to talk about what it means to start online, to mature online, and then go offline. And if you're already offline, what it means to extend online. So Mark, one of our, who was a former Walmart associate, as he described earlier, under Mark Laurie's category specialist program, helps really embrace that philosophy. And Mark, if you want to speak to a little bit about the different channels, how they start and how we optimize, that'd be great.
Yeah, totally. So before we get into some of the more marketing and advertising strategies to actually increase volume, it's important to really think about the assortment, right? And we like to use Walmart in the example because they are kind of the leading omni-channel retailer, if you will. Of course, some other retailers have similar channels in which your products can sell, but Walmart's a really good example to break down the buckets in that brand sell. Everyone's familiar with the Walmart stores, right? There's over 4,000 now. They're all across the US. Walmart's really changed their model in the past few years from how the merchants were and how they bought product. So for now, you have your in-store. You're selling direct to the merchant, right? And at a wholesale model, those items go in store. But what a lot of brands haven't been focused on is the digital side to that lately, right? So when an item is in store, it's also online, which means that everything that you do from a content perspective, like you would do at any other retailer, Amazon, or in the way that you optimize, you need to be doing that for your store level items also. Everything from content, ratings and reviews, advertising, that actually drives store velocity. And there's many different strategies that we work on here to help brands achieve that. In the old model, they used to have the first party, the vendor model, owned or DSV. It still does exist at Walmart. However, merchants aren't as eager to engage in those programs unless you're really in store. So a lot of brands that are new to Walmart aren't getting the vendor-owned programs anymore, where you are also, again, selling to the merchant on wholesale. Those items go into reserved e-commerce FCs, where those FCs ship to the customer. But like I just said earlier, it's really more so reserved now for some bigger brands that have a lot of influence behind them, or brands that are also in store. Instead, what they're doing, and what we find about 95% of the time, is they are loosely kind of mandating that all brands need to be on the Walmart marketplace, which would be the third-party sales channel. For those familiar with Amazon, you'll be familiar with how the marketplace kind of works. There's a lot of similarities and some nuances, but for marketplace specifically, and that's kind of what I really focus on at VENDO, it's for the sellers, for distributors, suppliers. If you're in store, and let's say you're also maybe in a first-party vendor-owned relationship, you can also have a marketplace business, or you can just start on the marketplace with Walmart. It's kind of like what we say your audition into Walmart, if you will, if you're looking to get long-term store placement. So it's not only a new sales channel for brands, and the marketplace at Walmart has been growing drastically. So when we say like direct to everywhere, that's somewhere that we really push brands into thinking about opening up a new sales channel, but also if they have a long-term strategy of getting into Walmart stores, very important to be on Walmart Marketplace now, because merchants all day are sitting in front of their computer, they're searching your brand on walmart.com. If they're not seeing you and they're seeing your competitors, in those line review conversations, you're 99.9% of the time you're going to hear that you need to be on walmart.com. And so getting onto the marketplace is how you do that. For marketplace, you can ship direct to the consumer through their seller fulfilled model, or now you can use Walmart Fulfillment Services, which is kind of an identical program to Amazon FBA, if you're familiar with that. Very important if you are in Walmart Fulfillment Services, because that's how you actually stay competitive with items that are also in store. If you remember, I said when items are in store, they're online too. And so in order to compete with nationwide 2-day shipping, you really need to be in Walmart Fulfillment Services, because they are actually tagging those products with Walmart Plus badges. So you're getting Amazon Prime-like tagging, but on the Walmart side. And so, to cover that all, very important to nail the assortment strategy. There's different ways in which you can look at your assortment, from eaches that go in store, and maybe you sell your case packs online through the marketplace, or your long tail assortment, and that's how you kind of are further auditioning and having a story built around your brand when you revisit those merchant line reviews.
Hey, so real quick, show of hands, how many of you are selling on walmart.com? Okay, there's a few. How many are you actually in store at Walmart? Okay, also a few. So the goal next year is to make sure all of you are raising your hands, at least as it relates to walmart.com specifically, because once again, direct to everywhere, 400 to 500 million visits a month on walmart.com. 90% of this country lives within 5% of a Walmart, and 80% of most shoppers inside of Walmart are using the app and looking you up online. So very important, as Mark's dropping some amazing, dangerous knowledge bombs here. How can we tell our audience about some actionable takeaways, how to optimize? Like if I want to get in store, what are my best practices to get in store? What are the merchants telling us that we can share with the audience how they can get in store?
Sure. Kind of like you said, right, they're kind of loosely mandating that you even just be on the marketplace, right? So when you get on there, and we always say, if you're not on Walmart Marketplace, you probably already are. Someone's probably reselling you already. They're probably screwing up all your content and all your pricing. They're probably ruining, yes. They're probably ruining, the way in which they fulfill, right? And what really is the worst part, and we see, is if and when you do then get on the marketplace, you might inherit some really poor ratings and reviews on your products that other people have already left because some other random, third-party seller already screwed up the experience for you. So being on it, really important. Ratings and reviews, super important. Walmart in-store merchants, we've seen them mandate when an item is actually going to get into Walmart shelf and you want to remain on the mod set, they call it, we've seen as high as having like 200 plus reviews on an item that you need to get to remain kind of competitive, right? And you can do that through syndication programs, generation sampling programs. There's all different ways to do that. But that's one of the important pieces. So you can really get ahead of a lot of the things that the merchants are going to be asking you for when you get on the marketplace, from a content standpoint, ratings and reviews, pricing, fulfillment, all of it.
Yeah, and then in terms of optimization, WFS, highly recommended. If you are selling a marketplace, make sure you're enrolled in WFS because you get several benefits that I'm going to butcher or fumble over, so why don't you rattle them off for us here?
Yeah, totally. Aside from just the nationwide 2-day shipping and the Walmart Plus tagging, they handle the customer service, the returns, the refunds, all of that. But it really is the main way that brands can really stay competitive, I'd say, with the store items, because again, those are online.
Yeah, and hey, pro hack for all of you here. If you are enrolled and if you do become a bestseller and you are participating in WFS, there is the opportunity to negotiate your referral fee down. So you can get a break on fees and commission breaks.
That's
I
right,
believe,
yeah.
as part of the program.
Certain times of the year, and if you're working with strategic account managers, they're kind of like the merchant, but for marketplace. You can negotiate with them on Walmart fulfillment fees, storage fees, commission breaks on your items, and things like that. So it is definitely a key driver for the marketplace.
Awesome stuff. And then another reason why, transitioning over to Nick here, why it's direct to everywhere, because we know that a lot of the merchants, one of the first places they're going to look you up is on another platform. And so you need to be buttoned up on that platform, Amazon specifically, when you go into those buyer meetings, if you're not on Walmart.com. You need to be buttoned up on both. Anywhere you are showing up online, invest in those platforms. Walmart wants to see you buying ads, getting reviews, improving your content quality scores, and really showing a true investment. You can be doing $10 a month on Walmart Marketplace. But if you're signaling to Walmart that you're investing in their platform and that you're taking it seriously, then they will take you seriously as well. So don't sleep on Walmart Marketplace. That's the big takeaway. Anything else before we move on to marketing?
Yeah, the last thing I want to share, and I know we're spending a lot of time on the marketplace piece, but it is a really important piece. On the marketplace, you get the customer data, right? You get their phone number, you get their address, you get their name. You don't get their email. There are some ways to pull that email, but you're seeing where your product's selling at a zip code level, right? So when you think about Walmart stores are in every zip code, right? So if you're seeing products really take off in a certain region, that might be a really good conversation to have with a Walmart merchant about a store test in that region for a specific product. So again, important strategy to be there.
Yeah, and then lastly, when we hear about Walmart earnings, they say about e-commerce growth. For those of you who don't know, 15 to 20% of that e-commerce growth is driven by store. And what we mean by that is that 5 out of their 6, I believe it is, sales channels are actually e-com native channels, meaning the customer ordered online, picked up in store, shipped from home, shipped to store. All of that happened online as a customer journey. The only one that didn't is when they walked into the store, picked it off the shelf, checked themselves out at the register. So very key point about why omnichannel and managing both platforms are very important. Nick, let's transition here. Let's talk about some marketing flows.
Yeah,
and how we can drive that online to offline using these different third parties.
Yeah, definitely. So Mark just did a great job talking about all the different ways to optimize for Walmart, and we do work most closely with Walmart.com as far as the brands that we manage, and so we kept hearing from our brands that they were struggling with boosting velocity within a short period of time. They were struggling with attributing digital activities to in-store velocity or Walmart.com velocity. And so we wanted to come up with a way to kind of offset that problem. And thankfully, there's been some platforms such as Visor and Aisle that have come out in the last couple years that have helped to streamline that in a big way. But ultimately, with those platforms in particular, you still have to bring the traffic. You still have to build out the marketing flow. You still have to optimize for opt-ins and conversions, and you still have to report on it and set it up in a way that's going to hit your goals. So whether it's Walmart, whether it's Walgreens, really any retailer, Aisle as an example will work for. I mean, it could be like your local convenience store down the street that only has one location. You can use a platform like Aisle to help create a flow where you're taking traffic through that flow to purchase in store, get a free product in store, and it's all directly attributed. So you actually know where those dollars are going and how they're impacting that in-store velocity. A program like Visor is very similar in a lot of ways, but unlike Aisle, it is a platform that is only tapped into certain retailers, right? So Visor works with a clearinghouse model. Aisle works as more of a post-purchase rebate model. But again, these are just platforms. You still have to manage them. You still have to optimize them for success. And so that's really where VENDO comes in an even bigger way. One of our biggest activities is running paid search and social to these marketing flows, right? So Instagram ads, Facebook ads, TikTok ads, whatever it might be. It could be an influencer post. It could be an email call to action. Any way that you want to drive traffic, you can do so. And then you can have the call to action basically direct to one of these flows. With Aisle, as you can see on the screen there, it's a SMS flow. So that's kind of cool, right? Because when somebody opts in to that offer, right, as you can see there, I think there's a Instagram ad as an example. There's even a billboard as an example, right? So it doesn't really matter where the traffic's coming from, but once somebody opts in, scans that QR code or clicks that button, they're going to basically be pulled into an SMS flow. So you're building up a lead list by doing this, and even if that person doesn't purchase, you still have their leads so that you can remarket to them after. Now, understanding if they purchased versus not purchased is done through Aisle as a post-purchase rebate. So they have to text you a picture of their receipt or a screenshot of their .com receipt, and then when they text that back to the flow, it automates the post-purchase rebate, which for Aisle is done through Venmo and maybe PayPal still. I'm not sure if they're still using PayPal, but Venmo. So Visor, on the other hand, is a point of sale discount. So there's no like post-purchase rebate. They literally get a voucher, like you can see there in that screenshot. You can add it to your Apple Wallet, your Google Pay wallet. You can just, if you're not too tech savvy, you can print it out. And you can literally go into the store and hand the cashier that voucher that you got from that Instagram ad or whatever it was, and they'll go ahead and scan it, and boom, you have that directly attributable digital to in-store transaction that happened. Aisle again, just a little bit different because after they purchase, they gotta text back that receipt. So I would say Aisle, because of those differences, is probably going to be a little bit more geared towards a more like Gen Z millennial type customer. Somebody that's comfortable with Venmo, right? They're not suspicious of SMS flows and all those types of things. Whereas Visor is going to be probably better for those customers, but as well older demographics, because it's more reminiscent of like a coupon that you would that's been around for many decades. But ultimately, like the success of these platforms, it's up to the traffic that you're bringing in. And so at VENDO, we put a lot of emphasis again on that paid search and social side to bring quality traffic, because if you don't bring quality traffic, it's going to kind of fall flat.
So you pre-answered a lot of my questions over there. Thank you, appreciate that. But no, hey, seriously, this is a great example. If you take nothing else from today, here's two platforms most of you probably weren't aware of or didn't know the names of, and these are important because they can be marketing activations for you to drive online to offline. We're going to cover in a second a similar form that doesn't require traffic, but these are great examples for how you can drive online and to offline using these coupon and marketing methods. I believe one of them requires some merchant approval, or you've got to coordinate with the merchant. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely good to call out some more distinctions there. So yeah, Visor, it only works with certain retailers. They are continuously growing their retailer network. It's pretty vast at this point. But for certain retailers, only a few, Walmart being one of them, you do have to have an additional level of merchant approval. Visor does a really great job of kind of getting all the documents together for you. So you literally just send them over to your merchant. They basically sign off on it, and then boom, you go. The other retailers, you don't need to do that for. So yeah, just a little bit of a difference there. And then something too that I really want to emphasize that was part of like the origin story of why we adopted these flows so early on and why we've had success with them is because there's no such thing as discount codes on Walmart.com, right? That's still true?
Not yet.
Not yet. So literally, you can't create a discount code and just like hand it out to influencers or put it in an ad, or there is like a discount code field when you go to check out on Walmart.com, but I haven't met anybody that knows how to access that, big brands, small brands, merchants, et cetera. So there's no way to like incentivize people for Walmart.com without running like a public sale. And so when you are trying to directly attribute to specific sources of driving traffic, you need to know that that's not public, right? That that's private to that source. And so this is in essence also a coupon flow, right? This is your ability to create that coupon that you otherwise couldn't.
And if your take rate at stores is diminishing or not performing at the right velocity based on what you're required to do, these are great examples of a way to boost that velocity. And I think we can do some geo-targeting as it relates to some of this too. So if you're deficient in your take rate, let's say in the Northwest or the East, you can run one of these programs to say, hey, we need to pick up our store velocity utilizing these marketing initiatives, right?
Yeah. Geo-targeting is a big undertaking that our paid search and social team does. So we can really isolate those stores that you're trying to get those lifts at.
Awesome. All right, let's talk about the user experience with some of these programs.
Yeah, certainly. So just to kind of bring to life a little bit more some of the creative that you might come across for these flows, right? So you have an ad there, text us for free chocolate, right? That would pull somebody into the aisle SMS flow. If they're on their phone, they click get offer, boom, it pops up the SMS chat, right? It goes straight to texting. If you're on desktop, you click get offer, it'll bring up a landing page, and then you just got to put your phone number in there, and then you get that text. So it works for both desktop and mobile. And I know I'm emphasizing that aisle is great for the SMS flow. There is a pretty seamless way to have Visor work for SMS too. You just have to have an SMS platform enabled, and you basically just combine the two. So you can use both for SMS. And then when we're promoting these offers, it's not necessarily a natural flow for everybody, right? Like the SMS, the post-purchase rebate can be kind of complicated. A coupon that you show at the cash register, not so complicated, but having to print it or add to your Apple Wallet, a little bit complicated. So we really emphasize in the creative, communicating as easily as possible how that person is going to actually be able to leverage that offer. Otherwise, they're just wasting a click on our ad, and they're going to kind of give up. So the video that we're about to play is a combination of our UGC program here at VENDO, as well as our paid search and social program, as well as our digital to in-store program. So we all collaborate at VENDO to kind of make this all come to life. And we were able to work with a creator to go out to Walmart, kind of pick the product off the shelf and show how that kind of post-purchase rebate flow would work. So we can go ahead and play this. It's a quick 15-second. So as you saw there, the call to action, that's for Ibotta. And so we're going to talk about Ibotta here.
Well,
now.
yeah, real quick, if you guys haven't tried them, that was Keto Crisp on the screen. Best bars on the planet. So go get you some if you haven't. That's why we were featuring it there. Can't say enough. Shout out Mr. Can Do over there.
Can Do Chris.
Can Do. That's right. So let's talk about Ibotta. So now we're talking about marketing activations and flows that don't require that traffic support.
Yeah, and I think I'll be able to get through this one quicker. So basically, everything I just said, principles still hold true. The only difference with Ibotta, and Ibotta's been around for a while, so many of you are probably familiar with it. Difference with Ibotta, and there's a kind of a competing platform called Fetch Rewards, is that it already has a membership base. So you don't necessarily have to bring traffic. We do very often like to bring traffic to the offer to amplify it, but you don't have to bring traffic. They have 7 million members. These are 7 million people that are going on their app, regularly. They're looking for good offers. A majority of these customers are also active Walmart shoppers, so they have different varying degrees of shopping kind of history at different retailers. And Ibotta has tons of data, so you can tap into that data. You can reach people that shop at the retailer that you're interested in the locations that you're interested in, with the demographics and psychographics that you're interested in. So it adds a lot of customizations, and then you basically are getting access to those 7 million members. Now, to top it off, Walmart and Ibotta partnered in the last year or so on a syndication program. Dollar General is also another syndication partner of Ibotta, and they continue to add more. So what that means is the offer will now show up on Walmart.com. If we skip to the next slide, I'll show you what that looks like. So yeah, specific to those syndication partners, not only now do you have that offer visible to those 7 million members, as well as anybody that you might be bringing from other traffic sources if you're doing that, but you're also going to get this kind of Walmart cash rewards offer that's going to show up publicly on the product display page, as well as the organic and paid results. So again, Walmart doesn't have discount codes. They don't have, well, they haven't had for a long time coupons, right?
Those are coming.
Yeah,
So coupons are already being beta tested on the site. So just a preview for everybody. Coupons are coming to Walmart.com.
Yeah, so it's been hard to like really have that attention grabbing, you know, offer on Walmart.com in the search results and on the ads, and just by having an Ibotta campaign running and then syndicating that to Walmart, which, by the way, it's actually cheaper if you do syndicate to Walmart, which is kind of counterintuitive. But just by doing that, you're going to boost the click-through rate, the conversion rate of your Walmart.com offers. And these people don't even need to know Ibotta exists. Like, all they're going to know is that they just saw a product they're interested in, that there's an offer. They check the box for that offer. And in that type of experience, the discount goes back to the customer as a Walmart cash reward that they can use on future purchases. So this has been incredibly impactful. Since syndication basically was available for all Walmart.com shoppers, we're seeing like 70 to 80% of Ibotta rebates being transacted by Walmart.com shoppers versus Ibotta members. So it's really spiked the velocity.
Awesome. So you guys can take a picture of this for now, because I'm going to skip over this slide and we're going to move on to media buying right after this. So in case you guys want that, and then please feel free. Sorry, I didn't realize I'm not speaking in the microphone. Please feel free to come up afterwards if you have any questions based on that. I know Nick just delivered a lot of impactful information on marketing flows. Don't be shy. Please come up and ask questions after on that. All right, Mr. Laredo, let's talk about media buying. All right?
Let's do it.
And how important this is. So let's start off with on-site media buying, how that's driving offline, and the synergies. We'll start with Walmart because one of the biggest, obviously. So please, go for it.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, what we've spoken about largely up until now is we started with Walmart, and then Nick did a great job of kind of talking about online to offline flows. Walmart advertising, otherwise known as Walmart Connect, that is a direct example of an online to offline flow, in that you are just advertising on the Walmart platform, right? So as Darren mentioned, you have 400 to 500 million monthly site visits to Walmart.com. Every single one of those site visits is going to engage in some capacity, either a view or a click or an order, most likely with what's called a product listing ad. Now, Walmart has built their advertising platform largely to mirror Amazon's, with a couple of small differences, but what that means is that they're highly designed to have high purchase rates, high click-through rates, et cetera, usually higher than the rest of the internet journey. And as Darren mentioned before, you have, Darren, what was it, 5 out of 6 of those channels?
5 out of the 6 channels are happening online, so you better be advertising.
So online pickup and delivery is one of those examples where someone can click on an ad on Walmart.com, purchase the product to pick it up in store, right? That is technically omni-channel advertising.
Same with Target, same with Costco,
Correct,
same
and we're
with
going to
the
get there in a
multitude
second.
of retailers.
Yep, exactly. So all of these retailers that have stores that are acting as warehouses are allowing customers to go into their stores, but to execute most of their actual shopping online. And so what ends up happening is these ads become a lot more central on the platform to the performance of your in-store business. And so there are other media channels that we're going to talk about in a sec that can drive in-store performance, but PPC advertising is one of the ways that is directly on site and is mirrored to look exactly like the rest of the listings. So it is incredibly effective. We see a great ROAS on those ads, and if you're on Walmart.com, it's incredibly easy to set up those ads. It shouldn't take too long. You can even do things like auto campaigns that will honestly could take less than 2 minutes to set up, and you're going to start seeing some level of engagement with your brand. The very least, you're going to get views and clicks, and most likely you're going to be getting purchases, and a good portion of those purchases are going to actually be picked up in store.
Awesome. So let's talk about some different channels you can use to drive that online to offline.
So when we talk about retail media, we really use the entirety of the retail media world. So any retailer that is running a website of some capacity is going to be incentivized to have ads on that platform because it's going to be a profit center for them. Now, some of the biggest ones, I'm not going to go in order of what's on the slide there. Instacart is one of the big ones, right? Now, Instacart is retailer agnostic. So if you guys haven't used it before, it is a grocery app where you can go online and just order groceries straight to your house. You can pick a store, and as a seller or as a brand, you can show up, you can run ads on Instacart, and it's going to show 4 customers that are going to purchase from a store with your product. If you think about it, this is a direct way to drive in-store sales from actually, this one I would argue is for the customer experience, almost online to online, because they don't actually go into a store, right? So they sit and their only engagement isn't even with a driver necessarily, it's literally just with their app, right? So just with the phone. So it still almost remains online to online, but it is driving offline conversions. And we see a phenomenal ROAS on Instacart, right? There is not a lot of competition there. And they have 900 retail banners across like 75,000 different locations. So Instacart's incredibly effective. And again, it is not tied to a single retailer. You can do things like 7-Eleven. You could even do some of the large retailers as well. Moving on to larger retailers, Target is one of the biggest names in this space that is gaining a lot of headlines because they've actually begun the process of diversifying their advertising offering away from Criteo, right, which is kind of a house of different retailers, onto what's called Roundel Media Studio, which is their native ad platform. They are making a big push into this space, which means you can now advertise. You have always been able to advertise directly on Target.com through Criteo, but Criteo used to charge and still does charge a 20% commission on spend. Now, through Roundel Media Studio, there are no minimums. You can get a 0% commission, so it's free advertising, similar to Walmart, similar to Amazon. And that's a big push. If you guys are advertising on Criteo for Target, you will most likely be reached out to by some Roundel rep to switch over to Roundel. They still have relationships with Criteo, but we've seen an immense amount of success on Roundel already just in the way that Target is pushing. So for a lot of brands, not even driving the online to offline relationship, but for a lot of brands that are in store in Target, this is a way to get buyer credit, right? So if you spend on Roundel, you can put dollars towards online sales. That will count towards an in-store credit for how much the buyer expects you to spend. And that will allow you guys to get better placement in store. I'm not a retail expert, but what it does do is it does allow just better performance and a better retailer relationship there. So that's been incredibly successful. Criteo, Citrus Ad, they're kind of a house of retailers, right? So in Criteo, you can do everything from Best Buy to CVS, Walgreens, Nordstrom, et cetera. You can pick your retailer there. Costco as well. And then a couple of these, like Best Buy, are following Target, and they're having their own self-serve platforms as well. So you're going to see the retail media space splinter over the next probably 12 to 18 months to where most of these larger retailers are going to have their own self-serve platforms. If you guys are in store, which I saw some of you raise your hands earlier, if you are in store and you do have reps at these retailers, reach out to them, see if it's on their roadmap to set up their own self-serve ad platform. If it is, guaranteed you can get some beta access. You might be able to get some value adds and spend. They're going to be highly incentivized to have you guys spend on their own self-serve platforms versus these other houses like Criteo or Citrus.
So I just want to highlight a couple of actionable takeaways because I hate it when people speak and it's all generalities and you're like, great, I heard some great content, but I don't know what to do with it. So specifically as it relates to Roundel, and we don't have it on this slide, Walmart Connect, when you're spending on these platforms and you're in your buyer meetings, make sure you're getting credit for those investments.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they're not directly attributed investments, but there's ways to position them as such. So don't sleep on that as something you should be doing when you're in those meetings as well. And then back to Instacart, when you think about what Nick talked about earlier, driving marketing activations to increase store velocity, Instacart's another tool that you can utilize very heavily to push. Unfortunately, with Instacart, you can't necessarily target the store, but assuming your SKU assortment is segmented in some fashion, it can help you drive in-store take rates and velocities as well.
Correct.
So let's move on to the last form of it here.
So
Programmatic.
So programmatic advertising. I'm sure many of you are engaged in programmatic advertising, otherwise known as a DSP. And what programmatic advertising is, for those that don't know, largely in simple terms, it's whenever you're on the internet, whether you're reading an article on CNN and you see an ad on the side, that's what's called programmatic advertising. It's demographic and behavioral-based retargeting based on a whole slew of information, right? The two we're going to focus on today are the Trade Desk and Amazon. So starting with Amazon, for those of you that sell on Amazon, which I imagine many people here do, this is Amazon's own DSP. So what a huge advantage with this is that Amazon's own behavioral and demographic data from the way that people engage with their marketplace and platform is fully available to you guys. Now there's two ways that you can advertise: managed service, which is directly with Amazon, or self-service through somebody like VENDO with a self-serve seat that has no minimums for brands themselves. A way that this kind of has tied in, I think a great example between the online and the offline relationship is going to be Whole Foods. So Amazon has made a big push in Whole Foods to do in-store display. And so, for instance, you can target individual Whole Foods locations and have your product show up in screens inside those stores. And you can target them based on a whole slew of times of day, obviously different locations, different places eventually within the store. And if you're a grocery brand, that is a direct way that you are leveraging behavior on Amazon to show up to customers in store, right? And so what that allows is for you, even if to basically mimic a secondary shelf presence, right? So you're on a shelf and then you're next to a shelf. And it shows up, I've been at Whole Foods where it shows up directly in front as you walk in. It shows up literally in aisle as well. And that's a way, obviously you can't engage, obviously no one can click, but that's a way that customers can get further exposure to your brand. And then within the Amazon ecosystem, if someone is scanning their in-store code, then Amazon is registering that this customer that potentially bought from you elsewhere or on Amazon is now engaged in Whole Foods. And so eventually what's going to happen is Amazon is going to be able, especially with self-checkout, et cetera, Amazon's going to be able to specifically target different customers in store. That's where they're going with this. So the online to offline relationship is really strong there. Similarly, on the Trade Desk, which has partnered with Walmart now, you can now geo-target different Walmart stores with first-party data. So you can say, hey, based on these different zip codes, right? Let's say, for instance, your products are moving a bit slower in 10 different zip codes and you need to up it to a store minimum. You can target people in those zip codes. Eventually, Walmart's going to also go to, hopefully, in-store display as well, potentially on screens. So I know that on TV screens, they do already have packages. Best Buy does, Target does, and Walmart does have in-store packages on the actual TVs that they're selling, right? So they're selling TVs, they can run ads on those TVs. And so the Trade Desk has been a great partner with Walmart. We've used them a lot already. And driving in-store sales from DSP, specifically the Trade Desk, is going to be a huge focus, at least for us and for many in the space over the next 12 to 18 months, because Walmart's going to look to drastically expand that. And they can look, you can use it as buyer credit, maybe not officially, but you can show the buyer, show the Walmart Connect rep that you are investing in that product. And when you're able to invest in that product, it just enhances the relationship.
Wait, let's double click into that for a second.
Sure.
Because, so what you're telling me is, let's say the audience is guy who tells really bad dad jokes, real cool swag, and works for the best team in the biz, and he's shopping at Walmart or at Whole Foods or wherever. You're able to target that audience of those people now with these programs into those stores. Is that correct?
Correct. You're able to target the locations. So obviously Walmart and Amazon don't know if you walk into the store and they can't, I mean, they will eventually. Eventually when you're going to have an app and it's going to walk in and it's going to scan it, they're going to know that you're in a store.
They're tracking me as we talk.
And if you have the Apple Vision Pro, they're going to show the ad on the aisle eventually. As it stands right now, you can target that location, times of day, et cetera. And we've actually done it to a degree where we've actually targeted a singular Whole Foods. And we've had one of our teammates walk into that Whole Foods during the hour that we highlighted it and took a picture of the ad that was showing.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can be very specific and very granular with it. And so if you want to show up during certain times, right, if there's someone giving out free samples during a certain time, you can have ads run during that certain time, and you can pretty much guarantee that they're going to be there.
Awesome stuff. Is there any other parting thoughts on the media buying side in terms of how you build brand awareness maybe and build traction for the brand? I know TikTok's a big subject, obviously, as of this morning because of the ruling, but any other platforms or ways you think that a brand should think about using media buying to build brand awareness?
I mean, paid search and social. Shout out to Greg over there. Yeah, I see him bumping his fist.
This is page one.
And I know Nick mentioned it as well. I mean, paid search and social, when we're talking about tying the whole ecosystem together, right, and you look at the ways that they engage. So for instance, a good example, Walmart SEM, right? So now Walmart now has an SEM program where you can have Walmart, you can't target the keywords yet, but you can have Walmart run Google search ads, Google shopping ads on a Google search page, right? That's a blending of worlds that hasn't happened yet on a self-serve basis, right? Everyone's been on Google, they've seen maybe an ad for Amazon, but there hasn't been that blending of self-serve between now, especially online and offline, as well as different advertising platforms.
Yeah, and that's not going to cannibalize what you're already doing on Google Shopping.
Correct.
It should be thought of as to complement what you're doing, as
Correct.
well as help supplement things to block out competitors that are potentially bidding. So you'll take up more slots. This is something I learned from the Mr. Rudolph over there. I think I got it right, hopefully. Search engine marketing is what SEM stands for those of you not aware. And this is available in your Walmart Marketplace portal. It is pretty streamlined to operate. Obviously, if you have any questions, feel free to come up after and ask us. Parting thoughts from each of you. I'll start with Mark, coming back to you. Anything, key takeaways?
Yeah, totally. I think the main takeaway, right, like the D2C or direct to everywhere. I just think that I'm obviously super passionate and bullish on Walmart, clearly. And so, yeah, I mean, when we talk about assortment strategy, I love to just put that stickiness in your head that it is a growing channel and it's important to be there. And I would definitely look up your brand on there now and see what's actually happening with it. You may be surprised. So my takeaway is just, like we said, be everywhere that all the shoppers are.
Ms. Martinez.
Yeah, kind of going off that wavelength. Just test what channel is going to work the best too, right? I know, like with one of our in-house brands, when we first launched, we weren't too sure if we wanted to, drive to Amazon, drive to D2C, drive to Walmart, right? And we kind of had to figure that out. But we weren't afraid to test, right? We weren't afraid to test, reiterate, optimize, see what the data is showing us, see what the customers are showing us, right? Where do the customers want to purchase, our brand the most? And some of the flows that I showed earlier differ in price. If you got a photo of that slide, you would see. But one of the flows, you can play ball with just $500 a month, right? So it's pretty low barrier to entry to test. Put that flow behind, a organic Instagram post that costs nothing, right? Or put it behind ads as it performs better. And I think you'll be surprised by the results.
Thanks, Nick. Gefen, anything?
Run ads.
Buy media.
Buy media. No, but seriously, there's such low minimums, and when we're talking about marketplace advertising specifically, the conversion rates, the engagement, the online to offline relationship, it really doesn't take much to get started, and we do see time and again, especially on those retail media networks, whether it's Instacart, whether it's Criteo, whether it's Roundel, we do see, as it stands right now, you still have an advantage if you're getting in. Not everybody's doing it. And the ROAS that we see and the CPCs that we see on the retail media networks outperform those that are on Amazon and Walmart as a sense. Not fully, right? There are certain sections that are not, but in general, it is just a more profitable performance when you're doing that.
And then just closing it out, when we say direct to everywhere, I'm still fascinated or surprised or amazed that brands don't realize they're on these platforms whether they like it or not. You're either there in a branded search fashion or your products are actually on there being sold by a third party you're not aware of. Another tip or hack for you if you want to figure out, because there are some hidden listings on both Walmart and Amazon specifically. If you go into Google and you type your product with the retailer's name, 9 times out of 10, those listings will be unblocked and show up in search for the most part. So that's a good way to check if you don't think you're on there, but you may be on there, and it's probably buried on page 5, 6, or 7. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
A client comes to you, would you recommend trying out TikTok Shop compared to how it's performing compared to like Instagram Shop, or whether if you guys have any suggestion on how it is performing overall?
Yeah, so I'll answer that first, and I'll let Nick also chime in here. So we actually do manage TikTok Shop. We are a TikTok Shop partner for a lot of our clients. We've just started launching that as of last year. as of this morning, TikTok Shop still exists. It's still there. And yes, I would highly recommend that if you're not selling or have engaged it, you should. The biggest lift on that platform is the creator outreach. In fact, 80% of your GMV on TikTok Shop is driven by that, not ads specifically. And as Sohan can attest to, it is a ton of work to create that traffic using those creator outreach. But I will say TikTok Shop came out with an amazing back-end platform that does allow you to target plans, put open plans out there, and reach out. So long-winded way of saying, yes, you should be investigating TikTok Shop as it stands today, for sure. Absolutely. Nick, anything I missed there?
I think that it's pretty amazing what TikTok Shop's done. I know you mentioned Instagram Shop. I feel like what TikTok Shop's done compared to Instagram Shop is just by wide and far much more robust.
Yeah, if the choice is either, I would say TikTok Shop for sure. And we do see brands in different categories doing just as much volume on TikTok Shop on a weekly basis as they are on Amazon or Walmart for that matter. So, sure. Any other questions? Oh, can do.
Just a great comment, guys. Great information. There's a lot of great information here, like I said. But what are the first 3 things that a brand can do? Just really simple to get started. If they're thinking about getting on all these platforms, what's the best thing to do real quick? Summarize it.
Hire VENDO.
Obviously.
No, I think, look, a lot of brands have to be scrappy in this day and age, right, with the budgets and the competitive nature. What we've seen in our experience is there are a ton of large CPG brands sleeping on these platforms, meaning they're either not spending right, they're not driving the right traffic, and they're not optimizing their pages and their content correctly. So a good initiative is, right, you got to think content first, right? Shout out to Karen and our amazing creative team and Cameron and our project management team for getting that done. Your content, 80% of shoppers online are eating with their eyes. So content first, right? You have to have great content on those platforms. Optimize and engage those platforms would be number 2. If you're setting up your own items, those fields in the back end exist for a reason. David Sroka over there knows that. And you need to make sure that you're filling in every single one of them, no matter what. That's what they're there for on the hierarchy. And then lastly, if you don't have a good organic strategy and getting your product out there, Noah taught me this a long time ago, get your products into as many hands as you can. Give it away, right? Sample the crap out of your product to build that brand awareness if you don't have the budget to go out and run ads. And once you've done that, then you should start with a very basic ad strategy, which Gefen covered here. Love the question. Thank you. Yes?
At certain points, it can be double, yeah. What we see, and also each retailer is different. Instacart's great. Criteo for Target is great. We haven't seen a lot yet with Roundel because Roundel yet hasn't released their analytics platform, so they're really not telling us what it is. But it also depends on the category, right? So for instance, if you're advertising in the protein powder space on Amazon, right, and you're spending $6, $7, $8 CPCs just to get a foot in the door, you can hit better CPCs on Instacart and on Criteo, right? You can just exist in a better space. And it is less competitive as it stands right now. And then usually what we see across the board is a lot of our brands on, say, on Instacart will give us something around the lines of like a 4 to 5x ROAS benchmark that we need to hit. And if we get that on Amazon, we usually have to sacrifice some aspect of growth to hit that profitability metric. We don't have to do that as aggressively on something like Criteo or Instacart. So it's probably, if I'm going to put a percentage, say conservatively around 30 to 40% better, I would say, give or take.
Great question. Anybody else? Yep.
How important do you think a brand website plays into being on Amazon or Walmart? Like the consumers, are they, when they're buying on Amazon or Walmart, are they going back to your website to take a look at the brand? Should there be more content on your website to try better SEO so that they can go to those platforms?
Are we assuming in this example you're transacting on your website or it's just informational? So I think I'll answer first on the informational piece, and then Nick and Mark or Gefen comment here. I would say very important to have your website because they're going to discover you on those platforms, and they may go to your website to say, hey, am I looking at an authentic and the right brand? So when I talk about content, you want to make sure that your content is consistent across those platforms. There's different style guides. There's different way to optimize on each marketplace. However, you do want to make sure that customer journey, as we're talking about direct to everywhere, is consistent because they want to make sure they have the same experience whether they go pick you up at 7-Eleven, they buy you online at Walmart, or they purchase you on Amazon or your own website. So consistency is key when a brand is considering what they're doing with their website. So I don't go see a purple bottle on their website and I go see a pink bottle on Amazon. Now you've lost me in that disconnect. So from an informational perspective, my opinion is that's how that should work. Now, anybody who's selling just direct to consumer and not on those platforms is losing. They are losing because 9 times out of 10, a lot of consumers may be driven to your website, but they're going to go see if you're on those other platforms because they trust those platforms more than not to convert on them. And we've done A/B tests with email marketing to give people the option. Do you want to purchase on Walmart, D2C, or Amazon? And inevitably, they'll choose most times a different destination than your own website. But Nick, I know we've run some tests and things there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to being where your customers want to be, right? And there are going to be customers that do want to purchase direct from the brand and not from Amazon or not from Walmart.com for all kinds of reasons, right? But ultimately, you know, each brand's economics are going to be a little bit different in how they invest in the different channels, and so typically, I look at Amazon and increasingly Walmart.com as having such a high level of credibility that it ends up being a really good channel for new to market brands or brands that are looking to acquire new to brand customers at a higher rate, because the confidence that new to brand customer has when purchasing from that brand through Amazon or Walmart.com is going to be much higher because of the refund policy. There's no worries about am I going to get my money back if I'm unhappy with this brand. Whereas when you're approaching a brand's D2C site, sure, they might have some terms on there, but am I going to get it tomorrow? Am I going to get it in a month? When am I going to get my money back? Right? There's all these questions. And so I would say that the D2C site for those types of brands, as an example, would still be valuable, certainly, but more so when that customer wants to come back and buy again and they want to buy direct from the brand. And then on the flip side of it, the brand has a greater opportunity to build a relationship most of the time through their own D2C site. Now, we have a lot of ways to build relationships with brands on Amazon and Walmart.com, or rather with customers on Amazon and Walmart.com, but for the most of the time, that's going to be kind of the differences for those types of customers.
Yeah, and then if you're building your brand stores, those are ways to create that mini D2C experience on either Amazon, and now Walmart.com has launched brand shops, which they're evolving. A good example of where Amazon's heading, if you want to see, if you look at Mary Ruth, they have a page that they got grandfathered in for that looks almost like a website. It's a unique page that doesn't look like a brand store. So you can check that out, and you'll see kind of where Amazon's going to try to get more D2C traffic and business on there too. Mary Ruth. Mary Ruth. Yep, organics. Yep. Cool. Well, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.